In this video, we are going to be doing grade 10 mathematics, looking at Euclidean geometry. So I have here a question adapted from the Gauteng June 2023 Exemplar. It's question 4, and the statement reads, BHSP is a rhombus whose diagonals intersect at point A. BA is equal to 8 centimeters and AP is equal to 6 centimeters. The line AC is drawn parallel to BP as shown in the diagram below. Okay, so before you get into the actual questions that are being asked, you have to remember the properties of the quadrilateral that is given. In this case, we are given a rhombus. So there are some of the questions that you are going to be asked where information is not given, and the reason they did not give you that information is because they know that as a grade 10 learner, you know the properties of a rhombus. Okay, so in order for you to solve other questions which are going to be asked here, you have to know the properties of a rhombus. Okay, so 4.1. Okay, before we get into the questions, you are given the rhombus, and the information that was on the statement is shown on the diagram. Okay, and then 4.1, it says write down the size of angle BAP, and this is for 2 marks. If you look at the question, they are not saying calculate, they are saying write down, meaning that the information is obvious on the diagram. It is there on the diagram, right? But then when we look at the diagram, we are not given any angle. We're just given the size of side AB and the size of side AP. We are not given any angle. But I have already mentioned that you are going to also need to know the properties of the given quadrilateral. Okay, so when we check the location of BAP, BAP is the angle that the two diagonals make with each other, right? And if you recall the properties of a rhombus, you will remember that the diagonals of a rhombus intersect at 90 degrees, and BAP is that angle. So to answer the question, we are going to say, so this is 4.1, we are going to say angle BAP is equal to 90 degrees. And what is the reason? This is the point of intersection, or rather the angle of intersection. Let's say angle of intersection of the diagonals of a rhombus. Angle of intersection of the diagonals of a rhombus. And that is how you answer the question. Now, if you did not know the properties of a rhombus, you were already going to lose marks in 4.1. So if you still don't know your properties of the different quadrilaterals that you have, go and make sure that you memorize them, because they are going to be helpful if you are going to pass mathematics. Okay, so now let's move on to question 4.2. 4.2 says calculate the length of BP. Now let's check where BP is on our diagram. So when we check on our diagram, there is BP. BP is that line that I've indicated with a red line, right? So BP is part of triangle BAP, right? But remember, in 4.1, we were told, in 4.1, we found out that angle BAP is equal to 90 degrees. So this makes triangle BAP a right-angled triangle. Okay, so we have a right-angled triangle. We have two sides, and we are looking for the hypotenuse. What are we going to use? We know from grade 9 that if we are looking for the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle, we can use the theorem of Pythagoras. So 4.2, we're going to say we're looking for side BP, right? Yes, we're going to say BP squared equal to, what are the two sides that we're given? We're given AB and AP. BP squared is equal to AP squared plus AB squared, right? Then we're going to say BP is equal to the square root of, what is our AP? AP has been given to us as 6. So we write there instead of AB, we are substituting. And then AB, we're told that is 8. Therefore, AB, we just write 8 squared. Now take your calculator and punch that on your calculator. 6 squared plus 8 squared, it's going to give you 100, right? And then when you punch your calculator for the square root of 100, it is going to be 10. And our units were given as centimeters. Therefore, BP is equal to 10 centimeters. And just like that, you have solved question 4.2. And I want you to check something. It was 4.1 that helped you to find 4.2. If you had not found 4.1, you are not going to be able to do 4.2. And how did you find 4.1? You found 4.1 because you know the properties of the rhombus. Again, I'm trying to emphasize the point that you need to know the properties of your quadrilaterals in order for you to solve analytical geometry questions. Okay? All right. Now let's move on to question 4. Okay, 4.3, we are asked to write down the length of AC. Check something. It does not say calculate or determine. It says write down, meaning that it's obvious on the diagram. Okay? So when we check on our diagram, we see that AC is a line that is parallel to BP. Okay, and if we check the position of AC and BP, they are in a triangle. So whenever we see this, we are quickly reminded of the midpoint theorem. All right, so what does the midpoint say? The midpoint theorem says that AC is equal to half the size of BP. All right, so in order to answer 4.3, we're to say 4.3, we're going to say, okay, let me change the color of my ink. Okay, 4.3, we're going to say AC is equal to half BP. Reason is midpoint theorem. Midpoint theorem. So AC is going to be equal to half into BP. We calculated it and found that it is 10. So AC is going to be half of 10, which is 5 centimeters. Okay, now we move on to question 4.4. Question 4.4 says we should determine the area of quadrilateral BHSP. BHSP is the rhombus, right? So they're basically asking us to calculate the area of the rhombus. Now, how do we calculate the area of a rhombus? We know that the area of a rhombus is equal to half multiplied by the two diagonals, d1 times d2, right? So our area will be half times. Now, what is the length of diagonal 1? Okay, let's go back to our diagram. On our diagram, we have two diagonals, diagonal HP and diagonal BS. Now, do we know the sizes or the length of these two diagonals? Yes, we do. We're given that AB is equal to 8, right? And what do we know? We know that the diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other, meaning that they intersect halfway, right? So if AB is equal to 8, then AS is equal to 8 also, meaning that BS is equal to 16 centimeters. In the same way, if AP is equal to 6, then HA is also equal to 6, meaning that HP is equal to 12, right? So this is going to be half HP. Is it HP? Yes, HP and BS. It's HP into BS. All right. So it's going to be equal to half into, this one is 16, and then this one is 6 plus 6, which is 12. And now when we calculate that, when you punch that onto your calculator, you're going to find that it gives you 96. We are looking for area, right? And we know that the units of area are square units. So our unit was given as a centimeter, so it's going to be 96 centimeters squared. And just like that, you have solved all your questions and you'll get yourself 11 marks.